Let me go through a couple of things. With regard to complaints. We're not having a hearing today because I realized after we got finished that this was the 10th. We had the last meeting on the 8th of December, and I like to have at least 30 days of notice to the individual for a hearing. And by the time I got it and got it out, it would not be a full 30 days. So we will have at least one hearing I know of in March. And I have gotten, there's 2 hearings on the same individual, so we'll probably have them all at the same time. Number 2, I'm getting a lot of complaints on these recreational vehicles / FEMA trailers / whatever you want to call them. I think we're at 3 right now. I think I am sending most of them because they are more related to used motor vehicles than they are to the auction proceedings. I have one that has been, the complaint was that there was misleading information given during the auction, so we are handling that one. That one is being put together, and we may have a hearing on that. I'm waiting for a report to come back. And but I don't know what the board wants to do on these because these are continuing to come in.
Are they? I'm assuming a licensed auctioneer
Yes.
is involved.
Yes.
It's not like livestock anyone.
Well, no, if it was something else, I would be sending it to the appropriate location.
What are they complaining about?
Most of them are complaining about the fact that one complaint, for example, says that he did not understand from the original auctioneer seller that they could not be used for his rental property, could not get proper permitting for them to use as a permanent location for rental. Another is a very similar situation, that it cannot be used for permanent living. The third one right offhand, I'd have to go back and look, but they were all of the same type of situation.
What about terms and conditions? Did you send it for a copy?
Yeah, well, that's the one that we actually have accepted to look at. That's what we're investigating right now. The auctioneer does tape his auctions, so we are having that reviewed by a third party, so that they can come in and give me a report.
The other 2 are not taped, quote unquote.
We didn't accept them yet because they're making allegations with regard to titling. Titling, usually, the ability to title or not title a used motor vehicle is more appropriate to use motor vehicles. And they have all 3 of them, as far as I know, including the one we've accepted, because there's also a titling issue with that. So that, and I did try to contact them, by the way, before David, I did try to return the call, and we're playing telephone tag. But this has become a recurring issue. I don't know if the board wants to look into it for any reason. And I know Marvin, for example, is here and does sell them. But this has been, now that we've gotten so many within a limited amount of time, I don't know if it's an issue we need to take more of a look into with regard to selling these particular types of trailers. Let me just use that term.
Are these, I mean, because I've seen them over at some of the auctions, auto auctions. Are these complaints that pins around auto auctions being sold, in that venue?
No, most of them actually are not auto auction sales. These are all individual auctioneers who are selling them as part of a package. Now, they have a used motor vehicle license too, okay, but they're not all just auto sales.
Okay, well, that's what I'm asking.
And they're not dealer, and I don't think they're dealer sales either. Okay. So, I mean, these are being sold to the general public, and that's where the issue is coming up. But I did want to bring the board's attention to that because of the number of similar complaints we're getting on that. If you want me to accept all of them, I can, but when it's a titling issue, and that's what I'm saying, is whether what's on the title, whether there is a title, unless there is an allegation related to the actual handling of the auction itself, I'm saying that that's not our jurisdiction. That's a jurisdiction more appropriate with used motor vehicles.
Yeah, just the title. I mean, but I know I was at an auction and I viewed, I don't know if the terms and conditions, I got there kind of late, but I know certainly these trailers could not be sold for living conditions. They were, that part of it was whenever you pull that little steel thing off, that's an indication for that, for as you can't live in it.
Oh, yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, and apparently The only ones that we're picking up are the ones when there is an allegation of fraudulent information being given by the auctioneer during the auction itself, or in the information provided up front, or that there's a failure on the terms and conditions.
Should you be in an executive session to even be discussing this? Is it possible?
And I'm talking about the trend as opposed to individuals. We're not going to get into the individual auctioneers who are affected by this, you know, depending on whether or not we have a hearing down the road.
Or you got something you want to say?
Yeah, Ken, I don't know, have you had any complaints against us?
Have you gotten a notice from him? Probably not.
And I'm pretty familiar with what I think some of these complaints are. I had a person from the Attorney General's office come to my office last week and talk to us about one of these complaints. And it wasn't to do with us, and I'm not trying to put it off on anybody else. I think the issue is that, and of course, we've been before, every commission, every board, every regulation you can even imagine in the state, that some of them I didn't know existed. And the Code Commission, for instance. And the Code Commission passed a resolution, but not a law, and recommending to the parishes that they do not permit these things to be used. The park homes is what I'm dealing with.
Right.
That they do not issue permits for permanent residents. Now that's just their opinion. That does not. It's not legislation. It's only Code Commission's recommendation. Some parishes adhere to it and some don't. What we announce at our auction sales is you're buying a camp house. And you can do what you want to with it. You put goats in it, or you can put your mother-in-law in it, or what you want to do. That's your business when you get it home. But we try to warn them ahead of time. Some parishes will give you permits for electricity. Where they got you at, if you can't get a permit, you can't get electricity. Right. And some people don't. And most all the opposition that we've had has come from competition. Not auctioneers, but dealers who didn't have the gall to go buy 500 of them and put them on the market. Some of them are participating. Some of them come to our sales and buy 10 or 20 or whatever. But we're not misleading the public. Now, we've sold over 15,000 of these trailers. I still have about 10 or 11,000 to sell out of this that I have now. And we're not going to shoot ourselves in the gut. I mean, we understand what our business is, but I can assure you, when you sell 15,000 of anything, somebody ain't going to be totally happy.
Well, Marvin, I understand you know how to do this. The problem is that a lot of the auctioneers out there who are selling maybe 2 or 3 don't understand the problem that they're selling this and they're not giving them maybe the same advice as far as what this is, how it's titled, what the problems are if you try to use it as a permanent, structure.
Well, I think that's 100% right, and I told the boy that talked to me the other day that, and I know, I'm not going to call his name, but I know the person who he's dealing with, and it wasn't an intentional fraud deal or anything like that whatsoever. I mean, nobody has told auctioneers that you have to announce this, first thing. Nobody has come to us or anybody else and says you have to announce that you can't get these licensed, because that's some parishes are doing. Some places you take them and set them up and put whoever you want in them, do what you want to do. Other places it's very restricted. But I think it's an innocent thing on the part of the auctioneer, because he's not required by any law that I know of to announce this. Now, all those travel trailers have a tag on them, or else we announce they're not for permanent residents. Every last one of them. I mean, well, like my daughter Janet said, if you're living in a school bus under a bridge and you could get one of those travel trailers, you'd be made a heck of an improvement. But that's still debatable. I mean, by law, we state that they're not made for permanent residents.
Well,
and I don't mind addressing any issue that comes up with it. Like I said, we kind of, and I'm not trying to toot our horn, but we've kind of been the standard barrier for the whole industry since we've been through so much stuff. And Johnny knows we were in the legislature through the Louisiana Motor Vehicle Commission and all this kind of stuff, and I think we've even helped them in adapting their regulations. But I think that's the issue, and I'm not trying to put some auctioneer down, because I think they might be innocent and they might need for their own safety's sake be warned of the fact that they need to announce that these are not for permanent residents, or may not be.
Yeah, and I don't know that we shouldn't be telling people that because of the fact that there's the warranty for use, you know, of use for the purpose for which it is intended, and these people are thinking that they're buying a home, when in many cases they're not. And if the auctioneer does not realize that issue, then the auctioneer may be responsible for misstating a warranty. And that's, like I said, that's the allegations we're getting that does pertain to the auction itself, as opposed to, we've had some concerning they don't have a title, they can't find a serial number. Those are all issues that are related specifically to this type of thing, and Used Motor Vehicles is better prepared to deal with that issue. But with regard to the warranty issue, I'm concerned that auctioneers don't understand.
Well,
You know, getting these things out, you're getting them out into the public, you know, sales, and you're getting into issues that could affect liability for individual auctioneers as well as the consumers.
the issue you mentioned there, that basically that applies to anything we sell at auction. I don't care if it's antiques or what it is, and we stated on every invoice that we write, this is sold as is or where is, without warranty, as to usefulness or merchantability or fitness for intended use. You might buy a dresser and it won't hold your clothes.
Well, and I think everybody should be doing that, but they're not.
And I've been through that many years ago and had it tested in court. As is and where is not enough said. You have to go beyond that and say, you know, not guaranteed as for fitness for intended use or merchantability. And when you do that, and you announce that at the sale, you really cleared yourself of everything there is to be said. We have instances sometimes when an owner may go to a machine and they'll say, oh man, I rebuilt the engine, I've done this, I've done that, and all that stuff, and it don't come through us, it don't come through the microphone. And somebody hears that, and then they buy it, and they get it home, and the rod flies out, and then they want to say, well, he told me, he who? Well, that guy that owned it, well, that's between you and him. And I've had that problem.
I used to get my little statements made and notarized and hang them on a piece of machinery and sell them in your auction, and that really did work well.
And what I'm trying to bring up is this is all information that's good for the auctioneers to know, but I'm concerned that some of these people are getting way over their head, selling these, they're not used to selling that kind of item. And I don't know
How
if we
many
need to get
complaints have
involved.
you had, Anna?
We're right now at 3 over the last 6 months.
I wouldn't call that an abundance, being
Well,
35, 40,000 of them sold in the state of
Well,
Louisiana.
I agree, but compared to our normal complaint, and we may have had others that were called in, and that they're all fairly similar in their complaints, that they didn't understand that this was different from something else. And so 3 different auctioneers.
But
And they're calling the Secretary of State's office, and the Secretary of State's office is calling this office.
That's above.
Yeah,
that's
Well, the Attorney
check
General's
to
office
see
was looking
exactly.
into it.
If you wanna look in the
But
one,
that's
let's
who
look
I
at all
talked
of
to
it.
last week.
well, as a matter of fact, I can send this on to the Attorney General's office and let them know that we're getting complaints. I don't know that it makes one difference anyway. But I'm more concerned about individual auctioneers getting caught in between all of this and not realizing.
Well, actually, what you're saying is for the protection of the auctioneer himself.
Well, exactly. What I'm saying is that they don't understand that they need to be doing something about it. I don't know what the board wants to do, but it's like I said, yeah, it's not much, but that's 3 more than we normally would get on any
Maybe
particular
you
type of
can
item.
make a notice on the website.
But you haven't had 35, 40,000 of anything sold in Louisiana, except maybe cattle and horses.
Really, that's how many has been sold so far, you think, between everybody?
We've sold, well, not all in the state of Louisiana, we've sold 30,000.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, probably 20,000. We will have sold 30,000.
And you've got a couple of other firms that's all basically they're doing Southeast, and I think there was another one.
Yeah, Southeast is selling a lot of them. Peterson.
But they know what they're doing.
Barber
Right.
has sold some. Lassion Boys have sold some. Cecil Brown sold some.
Well, that guy out in Fort Allen, who's got a bunch of them for sale again, you gonna
That's
do another?
Southeast.
That's a guy out of Mississippi.
But anyway, I didn't want to make one, I didn't want to get the board aware of this issue. And the only one, like I said, right now I'm looking into is the one where there's an allegation that this warranty was not mentioned in the terms and conditions or orally at the sale itself. So we're going to follow up with that. And if it looks like it was a violation, we'll go ahead and have a hearing, and you'll hear it maybe even the next time we're here. But
We also put that disclaimer at the top of every page in our buyer's catalog, not just the front page or back, but every page. Because I've heard this statement, but I didn't hear it, I wasn't there when you made the first announcement.